Hello and welcome back to Dream Girl. I'm Sheen, your host, and today we are joined by Ashi, who is the founder of Dude Just Dude and of about 100 more companies. We will get into this in a bit. Hello, Ashi, how are you?
I'm doing amazing. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I think the first thing we should address is the outfit.
Dress. Okay. Yeah. So she told me to show up in these and I did, and she's dressed like that. So I'm just okay.
No, I didn't. Okay, tell us the story of these pants because I love the story of these pants.
Let it be known that you said you hated these fans.
I did.
Then I tried to... No, now you have to say you like them. I'm a guest on your show, Sheen.
Okay, let's hear the story first, then we'll assess.
I was walking on the streets of Kochi, which is a little state in India.
Yes.
And I'd gone for my friend's engagement. And I literally had 3 days there. And do you know that little halo moment when you look at something and then like a spotlight goes and then the sound from everywhere goes...
Yeah, the angels come down.
Yeah, that's what happened. Like,
Okay.
this was hanging.
For these?
For these. I'm telling you, it was just on a street side. Like, it was actually sold by homeless people. And it's made by fabrics that they found. And there's just one of these. And these pockets, though, there's 2 pants with these pockets. But there was just one. And this, I got them for 500 rupees. Which is like 20 dirhams. No, lesser than 20 dirhams. Like 18 dirhams.
Okay.
That makes it look like I have no money, but I'm fine with that.
That wasn't her budget.
I'm fine. Yes, this was a little budget trip, and that was it. And I bought them, and it's not. I don't wear them every day, but I wear them quite often, and they're such good quality, and you can sleep in them. And have you ever seen so much color on one item of clothing?
And I think there's a reason for it.
Exactly. But look at it, and. That's all.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay, but I mean, it is a nice
But I'm
story.
wearing.
Though. And then you have merch.
Then I have merch.
Okay, go on. The first part was the wholesome vibe of, helping homeless people. The second part of it is just selfless as well.
Yes, we're always like, this is it. I don't wear anything else, but I have about 4 of these.
That's it.
What do you mean?
Oh, you own 4.
I own 4.
Okay, I thought there's just 4 of these items in the world.
I own 4 of these.
Okay, so tell us about the merch.
So this is just like a straight up shameless promotion of everything we're doing. Everywhere you go, you just do it. I wear this in peak summer because I have this theory. What if, like maybe it gets too hot and I pass out?
Yeah.
And all the cops are there and they're taking pictures of me. But then I'll be wearing this. So when they post it on the newspaper, they would say that a girl, with Dude Just Dude merch.
This dumb girl died.
Exactly. If I were to ever go, I would want to go in our merch. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me, I don't think you've ever told me this, but where does the name come from? Dude Just Dude.
It's a funny story.
Okay.
So every day when I was back in school, so it started when I was 18. That was about 4 years.
So last year.
Okay. So technically last year, COVID years, just forget it. So 2019, I was sitting. No. Right before that, me and my friend used to talk on the phone every day when she used to go back home. And we used to start and end our sentences with dude. So it would start off with like, hey, dude, what are you doing today, dude?
Dude.
Until the point, this is the best part, her grandmom thought my name was Dude. Oh. So she would ask her, like, where's Dude? What's she doing?
Yeah.
And then she's like, that's not her name. Every time I go to a house, she'd be like, Dude. I'm like, I was too scared to say that's not my name. And then it just kind of stopped. And then I was sitting in another friend's house and I drew this entire blueprint of how I would want my company to look in the future. And I asked like that friend, I was like, what should I call this? She's like, what do you say a lot? And I'm like, dude, I don't know, dude. She's like, what do you say a lot? And I'm like, dude, I don't know, dude. She's like, you say dude a lot. And I'm like, just dude? She's like, yeah. So I was like, dude, just dude. And then that was it. And then I just stuck with it.
Oh, wow.
Like, okay, there's no deep meaning behind it.
I mean, from that story, what's kind of like stuck was the fact that at the age of 18, you were thinking about the blueprints of your company. Can we get into that?
The blueprints of how I would want the building to look. So I had no idea back then.
The actual physical location of the company.
Not even a location, just the building. Like I have this very specific, huge glass building that I want. But I don't know what is going to be inside it. Nothing. I just want this like nice looking glass building. And yeah. And then when people see it, they'll be like, what is that? And then you'll be like,
So how close are we to getting to that glass building?
If they reduce the prices of land, rent, and glass
Not gonna happen.
tomorrow, but buying things are very expensive. So let's say in the next about 5 years sounds like a good time.
5 years?
Yeah, by the time, 5 years, 26. That's the plan.
Okay, so I find this really interesting because at the age of 18, I didn't even know you could start your own company. Okay, this is the contrast here. And I obviously went to uni and then decided I want to go into corporate. And then I thought, okay, not for me.
Mom's gonna love you. Okay.
I know, for a short time. And then after that, went into tech startup and content creation, right? So I had a full journey before I came back to where you are. But you started off right after school knowing you wanted to go and have your own business. Where did that come from?
So that's actually, I'm going to track back.
Yeah.
That's not how it happened. I didn't know I wanted to do this.
Okay.
See, right now, it sounds very dramatic when I say that it was out of need because it's not like I didn't have food on the table.
Yeah.
I didn't have a driver's license. So from the second I was born, I wanted to drive. I don't know why.
Really?
I don't know. I just enjoyed it, and then when I was a kid back in India, you know how they had those manual cars?
Yes.
So my parents used to drive that and I would beg them to let me, change the gear.
Okay.
Yeah. And now to make up for all of it, I get enough fines. So anyways, so I started, when I turned 17 and a half, I went up, I was like, hey, listen, I want my driver's license, right? And then I just assumed that it was like an entitlement thing. Like, I was born to you. Like,
You apply and you get it. Yeah.
That's all. And then they said, turn 18 and we'll find out. And then I was like, there's no in the vocabulary. What is happening? I turned 18. I went back. I was like, what about that license you told me? They were like, you know what? Finish school, get your own job, like earn your own money and then get your license. And I was like, it felt like I don't know, like they told me that we will not feed you, we will not clothe you for the next year, move out of our house. That's what it felt like to me at that point. I was like, okay, this is not good. And then I was like, no one's gonna hire an 18-year-old. Like I was still in school, right? And I was like, what do I do? So I just stayed up and then I was like, I went to my wall, I moved my bed and I stuck sticky notes of what can I sell? What will people buy? That was it. And I was like, everyone has a phone. Let me start selling phone covers. So
that's where the journey started.
That's where it started.
Okay.
So this was like May 2019, maybe May 12th or something. And then I remember this because of yesterday. I thought about all of this.
Yeah.
But May 12th, I just walked around Karama. Have you ever been to Karama?
Very briefly, yes.
It's, I'm going to take you back.
Please,
again.
let's go.
It's a whole thing happening.
And people did try to sell me like Louis Vuitton phone cases when I was in Karama.
Okay, it's not known for phone cases.
But was that what you were doing there?
I used to live there. But okay. So I walked around Karama and I found a dude that, kind of said he'll help me out with the phone cases. And first he told me he'll give it to me for 30 dirhams. And then I was like, you know what, fine, whatever. And then I knew how to use Photoshop and I sat up overnight at a math exam the next morning. I made designs. I go to my friends. This is my IGCSEs, by the way.
You had exam the next day?
Yeah, math, my IGCSE paper 4.
Okay.
And with a crazy look in my eyes, I'm like, guys, I'm starting a phone case store. And they were like, bro, just write your exam. Just stop. And I walked into my exam. I wrote all my ideas down in my hand. I was scared that they'll think I was cheating. And then I came out and I was like, that was it. 3 days later, I stayed up. I learned how to code. I made a website. And I just set up doJustDo.com. And I started selling phone cases. And that's how Do started as a phone case store from Karama.
I love how that went from I just learned how to code in the next 3 days and I built a website and I registered the name. It's not that easy.
Dude, everything's on Google. That's
true.
You just Google how to do something. And the best part, is when you realize no one knows how to do anything.
Yeah. Everyone is winging it as they go, right?
Everyone is winging it as they go.
So then you started Do then, which was for phone case specifically.
It was just a phone case store.
But now it's completely different, right? What do you do now?
So now it's a marketplace for other creators, influencers, artists, designers to make money. So when we got to the point when we were like, hey, you know what? We have all of the resources to help start someone else's business just the same way that we're doing ours. So why not we actually do that and also make money while we're at it? So now if you have a design, you can send us your design and we handle all the printing, packaging, and shipping, and we give you the profits per sale.
Oh wow. So let's put this into actual physical things so I understand what you're talking about, yeah?
Okay.
Let's say I want to do merch.
Okay.
I want to do what you're wearing,
Okay.
but have my face on it.
Of course, I would buy that.
Yeah.
I'll buy like
exactly.
500
Who
of those.
wouldn't, right?
Okay, that's true.
So then how does that work? Do I just send you the,
So you go onto our website,
Yeah.
duchesdude.com, and then you sign up. It says own with us, and you go click on it, and then it goes on to, okay, you know what? You submit your designs, and then you get a list of mock-ups. So you can see your design on t-shirts, hoodies, pants, hats,
right.
name it, whatever that can be branded, you'll see it, and then you can choose what you want to sell on, and then you see the prices of all of these items as well. And those prices are inclusive of the printing, the packaging, and the shipping.
Okay.
And then you add your markup to that, and then now your designs are available on your store, where it goes to dojustdo.com/shop Sheen
Right.
Gurrib or Dream Girl.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then your customers can just go on to that and then buy your designs. You currently don't have any inventory. You don't have any of these designs.
No
You don't even
cost.
know where it's
Yeah.
being made, right? So when a customer orders it, the money goes into your wallet on our website. You can take it out to your bank card anytime you want. And then, and then we actually go to our secret place and we print this. There's no child labor happening. And then we send it to your customers.
Oh, very cool. So how big is the team?
Currently, we are 7 of us.
It's quite big a team. How do you feel managing this team of 7?
It's a journey, but it's fun because like every single one of them, I know them. Like none of them were hired through a CV or nothing. It was just people that I've met in completely random places that have ended up being the best team ever. So literally 2 of them, the first university that I went 5 times in total. And I met these 2 people, Zabia and Fizza, like once, and I made one of them quit her job and join Do Just Do It. And the other one I was like, hey, you know what, this is it. You don't have a choice. And that was it. That's how I met 2 of them. Another one I went to school with back in year 11 and she reached back out. Another one, it's like crazy random stories. So like when you work with people that you actually enjoy working with, it doesn't feel like work. You know, it's like great. We're building something together, and and we're all young, so it's like we're learning as we go. Like none of us have the experience of doing anything before, so every day is like it's like a Minecraft challenge.
Nice. So I really like what you said because you said it's not through CV, not through application. And you know, with the future of work, that's where we're working towards, right? Where we need to acknowledge that there are things that are not on the CV that is more important when you're hiring somebody. So would you say you go by gut feeling, by the energy, the values match kind of vibe? Is that what makes you assess somebody, you know, in the way that you hire, whether they will be a good fit or not?
So who they are as a person is really, really important to me. So like I have a very strong like religious belief on many things, and like it's not a certain religion or something, but like core values of a person is really important. So who you are, just being a good person, you have to be kind of funny. I mean, that's not a prerequisite, but it just happens to be everyone in my team are hilarious. We did like this. I shouldn't say this here. Okay. So, but that is really important. I don't care about, you know, like what have you done before, as long as you know what you want to do, or, you know, you have that drive to be better every day. You don't want to settle for, you know what, this is it. I'm happy with this, you know? Yes, be happy with what you have, but how can you be better? What more can you do? So that's really important. But apart from that, like literally nothing much. Just with that like eagerness, drive to, you know what, I want to take over the world. That's all.
Oh, that's amazing. So what's your plan now with Dude Just Dude?
So what you mentioned at the beginning with the over 100 businesses. So no, we like kind of toned down on that in December. So it was advice from a lot of people in my life. You know, they kept saying, you know what, try doing one thing, see how that goes, then move on to the next thing. And I was everywhere. I wanted to do everything right now. You know, so I was like, doesn't matter. And it was going well. That was the part that was getting to me, right? Because I was like, why are you not letting me do it when it's going well? Like if you go like it's not fine and then focus, that makes sense. But I was like, no, you know what? This is it. So in January, I was like, you know what? It's worth a shot. For the last 3 years, I've been doing everything I wanted to do. I didn't listen to, good advice, even though it was. So we kind of scaled back and we went back to 2 companies, which is Do Just Do It and Events by Do Just Do It, which is what we host events with. And that's all. So we're planning on just scaling this to the best and highest level that we can, which is now we're currently working on launching to all of GCC.
Okay.
So in the next 2 to 3 months, we'll be in Saudi, Bahrain, Muscat, Oman. That's the same place, and throughout, the all of Middle East essentially, and see where we go from there.
Okay. Well, good luck with that. I'm really happy to hear that you scaled back because I agree there was so much going on.
But what we did was we kind of, all of them were really good ideas. That was the thing, right?
Definitely.
So all 5 of them, 100, all 5 of them were really good ideas. But then it was like, hey, you know what? These are ideas that can be incorporated into the same company. So all of those 5 ideas have been incorporated under Do Just Do It now. So we also help you set up pop-up stores in place across UAE. So let's say you want to set up, something at Saddle. I know you love Saddle. So
We love Saddle.
So if you want to set up like a low store at Saddle, we're kind of working on, not Saddle, but we're working on places like that where you can actually have your merch, your clothing, your music available across GCC.
Oh, wow.
And then the rest of the world.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go back to you being the CEO. What has been, in your experience, the biggest learning, and what advice do you have based on that?
I kind of just mentioned that actually, which was focus and grow, but it's not something that I'm set on. It's something that I'm kind of doing now, which is reaping good results. So I want to go back to that concept of things and say, it's like when you put 100% of your energy into one thing, it grows faster than you putting 10% of energy into 10 different things. So literally it's like tested, and I can say that right now in the last 4 months that it's worked better than anything that we've done in the last 3 to 4 years. Just our events company, we worked with some of the biggest companies in the world in 4 months, and we have no experience. We just started off as a company. We just did it. Our first big client was one of the biggest real estate companies here in Dubai. And we had nothing to prove for it except the fact that we were like, hey, you know what? We're going to focus. We're going to do our best and see how this goes. So with whatever little experience I have now, I would say that doing everything is absolutely amazing. It works. But if you, again, I don't think you should listen to anyone just because they say that it works for them. Everything is trial and error. You go, you do what works for you. You know what? Maybe doing everything works for you. Do it.
Of course, yeah.
So always be open to trying new things. Just don't take what someone else says as, the hard and fast rule that this is what it is. Everyone has the same journey. No, you don't.
But, okay. Now, going a little bit outside of that, one thing that I still remember the first time you impressed me, okay? Which was, can you guess which time it was?
The pants?
No.
No.
That you disappointed me. But we were in 25H. We were co-working.
Okay.
And then I think it was a Saturday or a Sunday morning, and there was a DJ outside during the day. And there were loads of people. And we kept thinking, what are these people doing here? Do they not have jobs? What's going on? And then we said it would be cool to go ask, right? What do they do? And you just walked out and went to speak to them. And this is something that you do all the time, right? You approach strangers just to have a chat. Absolutely. And you came back with their contacts. They're good business contacts.
Yeah. We are going to print for them, actually.
I know. You ended up getting a client on board, right? So that's one thing I love about you, that you're able to just go and speak to people. Where does that confidence come from?
That's a good question. That's a good question. But I'd say that, for some reason, I think this, again, maybe inherited from my parents, God-given gift, whatever it is, I have no fear of being said no to.
Okay.
Which I just, even as I grew older, I realized it was a thing that I should have, I guess, because even in school, it becomes a thing, right? Even asking someone for something, or with them, in your head, it's just oh, what if they say,
say
no?
no.
What if it doesn't happen? Right? But that's just like your next step to someone saying yes. But it's like, you never know what you're going to get out of a conversation, as simple as a conversation, right? Like that thing was just, you know what? Fine. Like, what is the worst that can happen? Just think about it. If the worst is not actually the worst, like what? They were going to say, no, we don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
Or are they going to ever remember me after that?
Nope.
No. Are they, it's just going to be a funny story for them. Might as well be entertainment for a group of people that are just sitting there, right?
I guess it's just the fear of embarrassment,
exactly,
right?
just
yeah.
Why have that when you can just be embarrassed all the time? No, don't put that in. No, but it's not embarrassment. It's that as well. But like people are really terrified of getting said no to. It's like it's the end of the world if you ever say no. Like people that are even looking for jobs are scared to send out their CVs to everyone because they're scared of piling up rejection letters. It's like, what if I get 50 people that say no? What if I get 99 people that say no? What if the one person says yes?
Yeah. And I think I completely agree with that. I didn't used to be like this. I used to be completely scared as well of rejection, of being said no, or of embarrassment, especially embarrassment, because you think, oh, but like if I go and then it will stay with me the whole time that this happened. But then I saw this somewhere where it says that, you should think of it that way, that there is a limited number of no before you hear the yes. So you should be trying to get all the no's out of the way as soon as possible, right?
Absolutely.
And just get the no's. It's a good thing that you're getting the no. It means you're getting closer to the yes. So that made it a little bit less hard for me, but I would still find it hard to do what you did, which is to just go up to a stranger and just be like, hello, what do you do?
This is a task for my team every day. They have to go up to a stranger and just speak to them. That's all. They just have to do it. They don't have a choice. And it's like the more you do it, like the more the fear goes away.
Yeah.
And you just have to keep doing it till it completely goes away. That's all. This is it. I'm challenging you every day to talk to a stranger.
Done. The thing is, it's very easy for me to talk to somebody as long as I don't have to ask anything from them. I can easily go, hey, how's your day going?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, and that actually worked out because we're launching a podcast called Random Strangers that I've actually met in Dubai who have ended up being really cool people.
That's the name of the podcast.
That's the name of the podcast. But it's also called Red Strings.
Rolls off the tongue, really.
Exactly. But it's also called Red Strings.
Okay.
Red Strings it's a concept that every single person in the world is connected by a red string. Why a red string? I don't know. But
wait, why a red string?
I said I don't know.
But no, where did it come from then?
Where did it come from? So there was this show that I used to watch. It's called Touch.
Okay.
And dude, it's the most interesting thing ever. And they show videos of how, like, let's say you're in Dubai, right? And you, as little as go to a store and you have a conversation with the store owner and you buy something and you leave, right? How that money or that conversation affects someone all the way back in, like, Mexico, for example, right?
Yeah.
And that changes someone's life in a completely other part of the world. And in the show, they actually have this whole, illustration of, like, one red string moving from one person and how the entire world shifts. And
that's a bit like the butterfly effect, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Very similar to the butterfly effect. And yeah, it's kind of pretty much the same. And this
just putting people at the center of it.
Exactly. And that, like, oh my gosh, that entire show, the concept just intrigued me so much. And then now when when we're here, Dubai is a very small place. But then you realize the world is a really small place, right? Like,
oh, yes.
dude, okay, this is maybe off topic, but I'm just going to mention this one instance because it still sticks with me to this day. So we go on church trips for my church every year. And in 2019, we went on a 2021, we went on a Baltic cruise. Okay, so we were on this cruise, great, right? And then 2 years later, last year, I went on a trip to Thailand with my friends. And so many things happened. At the end of the night, we ended up in this little burger place. And the owner of the burger place shows up. And then, because burgers were really good, we wanted to speak to her. And she was like, yeah, you know what? I used to work on a cruise before. And then I moved to Thailand and I opened my own burger shop. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. I've been on a couple of cruises. I was on the NCL. Which cruise did you work on? And she was like, I worked on this cruise called the NCL. And I was like, what? I was like, I've been on a cruise on the NCL in 20, and she was like, the last time that I worked was in August of the same year, same time that I went on. And I was like, you're kidding.
Oh, wow.
And we kind of traced back, and then I showed her like, hey, this
So
was
she was there.
She was on the same cruise ship that I was on in 2020.
Wow.
2020, I forgot which year, 2020, 2021. 2020, I think. Yeah, right before the year of COVID. Okay, I messed up the year, but
Yeah.
it was the most, I was like, what just happened? And then I met her in a completely different country.
Setting, yeah.
And like, there was no possible way that we could have ended up in that place that night. So many things went wrong, and that's why we ended up there.
Yeah.
And like, I believe that, I read this thing a long time ago. Like, it's not coincidence. It's like, it's not the fact that it happened is the coincidence. It's the fact that the conversation happened. And the conversation led to that is what brought about the coincidence.
Yeah.
So, like, even talking about that, the burger being good, like her coming there and starting the store, which is everything. So I forgot. I don't even know how we ended up here, but it just came back to me.
That's
And I was
very
like,
cool.
okay.
That just reminded me of this story. I'll tell you a story as well, which is not mine.
it.
It's
Okay.
about Michelle Obama.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard it. But Let's
Okay.
hear it. So
Tell me.
it's when Barack was still president.
Okay.
And they were traveling in between some states and they got hungry.
Okay.
So, for the president to go eat anywhere,
Yeah.
there needs to be arrangement for security and all of that. So they decided to go to a restaurant which was a bit far away so there wouldn't be people there. And then they went there, really nice little place, loved it. And at the end, the waiter came to them being like, the chef really wants to meet Michelle. And she was like, okay, I'll go say hello. And then she went to the back, said hello, and came back. And she was like, oh my God, you won't believe this. The owner of this restaurant used to be my boyfriend in school. Okay. And she was like, wow, how do things happen, right? And then Barack said, oh, can you imagine if your life turned out a little bit differently? You could have been the owner of this beautiful restaurant. And she said, no, Barack, if my life turned out differently, he would have been the president of the United States. And I was like, yes.
Let's go.
I love that.
How you know.
Yeah. So again, you
Dang.
see like the way that you meet people again in your life is definitely
Absolutely.
like crazy.
That's crazy. And that's the whole concept behind like the podcast, right? Where like you never know what someone does until you speak to them. And you never know what that conversation can bring forth after that.
Exactly.
Right? So maybe, like this has happened about twice where I've probably met someone earlier in the day that goes like, hey, you know what? This is what I'm doing. I have a job opening for this. If you ever meet someone, let me know. Later in the day, I'd be speaking to someone else who goes, hey, you know what? I've been looking for this for a really long time. Do you know someone? And then your brain and you're like, oh my gosh, God, how do you do this, right? And then you just connect them and it works out. This has happened like more than 5 times until this point. And then both of them are really happy.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. It's a small world. It's not just Dubai anymore.
So we love the red string,
Yes.
basically.
Love red string.
So when are you launching?
It was supposed to actually be last week, but this whole focus thing that I told you about.
Yes.
So I don't want to launch until about 3 of our podcasts are amazingly edited.
Yes.
So that's what's
good.
happening
Have
now.
a bang first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And our second guest on the podcast is someone that I accidentally launched her entire book for. I was a moderator for her book launch that happened by complete accident. And it was about a topic that it was about gaming. I knew nothing about gaming. Like all I knew that was my brother gamed and I had to do an interview with her. I did that. And then overnight I learned what gaming was and I moderated, and the CEO or the managing director or the CEO of Microsoft for Startups was one of the panelists for the talk.
Wow.
And I was like, what just happened? And we just kind of spoke and she's one of the guests now. So
Very
random
cool.
strangers who ended up being very cool people.
.com.
That would make a
Did
good
you get
website.
that? Did
no,
you
I
get that?
didn't. But now I want to.
You
If I
should.
do, it's all
Because
of
everyone will be after that website.
Exactly. Oh no, it's fine. Yeah.
Okay. So now let's go into a bit of a different part, okay? I mean, obviously we have a long list of things we can talk about. But so for you, obviously we are both brown girls.
Absolutely.
And you had a very unconventional pathway,
Yes.
right? You moved away from the whole let's become a doctor, no?
Yeah.
And
Engineer, doctor.
So what has been your experience of being unconventional? Was it a supportive journey?
If I say yes, will it make it better? No, it was not. No, it absolutely was not. But I believe now, with all of the things that happened, if it was, I wouldn't be where I was
Yeah.
right now. So I'm glad that it wasn't,
Okay.
because it has given me a sort of resilience that will not come any other way, right? Like, it's like everything that could be said about my life or whatever I could do has already been said by the people in my life. So there's nothing an outsider can say that would make me
That's
go,
new. Yeah.
like, what? I've already heard this.
Yeah.
You don't have a life. All my eighth grade teachers told me. So what are you gonna do, right?
Yeah.
So yes, so that it from when I was in fifth grade. So I enjoyed extracurricular activities. I wasn't someone that would like sitting in class. I wasn't someone that was great at like at getting good grades, for example, right? But it's like if I focused on it, I could do it. And that's what made them more mad because, when they would make it a challenge or they'd go like, hey, you know what? I'll get you this or you could play in the band if you get good grades.
Yeah.
I would get good grades. But then when there was no incentive, I would just slack off.
Right.
That always bothered them. So be it my parents or anyone. So when I was a kid, I used to say that I wanted to be a doctor. Oh, thank God. Bless the patients. That I'm telling you, God saved these people. If I was a doctor, if I wasn't, maybe if I wanted to focus really hard, I would go and be a doctor again. But it went into the engineering route where
Yeah.
I was forced to take science when I was in school. But I enjoyed it though. Like I was
Okay.
crazy into robotics.
Okay.
But it's like just because like my parents saw that, they were like, engineer
needs to do
is the
it.
way.
Yeah.
This is it. Like perfect. We found all the key points. Mechanical engineering, and then it went on to sound engineering because I was into music. It was never, go follow your passion, play, guitar for a band or something.
Yeah.
No, be a sound engineer. So, and then I had to take science, and then it just went on from there. But I always found things to get myself out of that, be it doing events in school or, be it selling phone cases. I was like, no, I'm gonna find a way to do something else. And it did make, like, obviously my parents were not happy with it.
Yeah.
But I still don't know what it was. Like, you know how they say, like, there are, like, good traits in some place, like stubbornness is really good when, you're doing something. But I feel like at this case, if you look at it overall, it was not a very good thing to have because, it was like, according to them, I still believe that seemed like the safer route to take. And that's what like the people in your life are looking out for. They want you to have
Stability.
like, They want you to have a stable life, which is not a bad thing.
No.
Right. And obviously, yes, at that point they would, argue that they know better,
Yes.
which is true.
It's
But
coming from a good place.
exactly.
Yeah.
But that's not what I wanted to do. But yeah, so now only after 3 years did they are considering that, maybe this is a real thing. I think this is something that, that she cares about. So it's working out now, which is good.
Okay.
So I don't necessarily see it as a bad thing anymore. I'm grateful that it happened. And when good things happen because of it, like the same school that told me that I had no future, that, that if I continued this path, I would not have a life. This happened in both the schools. The first school invited me to speak to all the year 10 students, and I was a judge for their competitions. And then the last school, which was my high school, I went back there as a speaker, and then I ended up doing the fun fair for the school. And our team, oh dude, it was surreal. It was the most surrealist thing ever. Like it was great. Like my team was there, and they were happy. They were like, dude, this is like the same school that told me that like if you don't get good grades, you're not gonna have a life. And then being able to go back and then do an event, and then like the money we earned was also like 1 year's school fees, which was good. I was like, look, mother,
I made the money back.
exactly. But we made the money back.
Yeah.
Our team, but like that was crazy. And I think that weirdly enough, it was that event that my parents were there for that event, and I think they were like, okay, I guess this is a real thing. And that happened this year, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you have any advice for people who are also trying to, fight the conventional pathway and trying to get out of it?
Don't be as ruthless as I was, I guess. Like I just didn't care what anyone else. Okay, yeah, see, there's good and bad for everything, But I didn't care. I was like, I just want to do what I want to do. I didn't care who it hurt. I was like, you know what, it's fine. I want to stick to this and do it. But I'm glad I did, because it meant I stayed true to what I really wanted to do. And that would make me happy, even if it didn't bring stability in my life, or, my parents' life, whatever it is. But now it's getting there, right? So I would say that, like, stick to what you want to do. Yes, even if other people say that some things are not how they would do it, it doesn't matter. Like, what you want is what is important in the end. So stick to your beliefs, and, like, don't get blown with the wind, like, stay, like, be like, go like, this is my values. I'm gonna stick to this no matter what anyone says. That's all. And then as long as you stick to your values, you're good to go.
Oh, wow. But also, what's really interesting is that you said at school, people used to tell you will not be successful. And you mean teachers, right?
Yes.
How was that possible in today's time?
Dude,
But where was that coming from? Was it based on the fact that you are not following the conventional pathway? You're not getting
was
good
the fact
grades?
that I wasn't getting good grades, right? Like,
Okay.
it was a general thing. Like, even the career counselor, I remember, was like, listen, you are not going to make it to a good university. This is not what's going to happen. And it's just how society works now, like, you get good grades, you go to good university, you get a good job, and then so on and so forth.
Yeah,
Like,
it's just the race, right? Yeah.
that's all. Every other path is a risky path to take, and no one wants to take a path of risk. Like, that's just, you would rather know exactly what your life looks like than not knowing what it looks like literally the next day. So it was because I wasn't, okay, I'm not gonna mention who, but
Yeah.
like, especially like art, for example, right? Like, I wasn't the best at art, but most of it actually came from, like, my art teachers back in school. It was like, you know what? No, you're not gonna. What are you doing? And my parents would get called into school every other week. It's like, please just submit her assignments. You do it. I don't care. Just let her submit her assignments,
Oh,
right?
wow.
And I literally had to overnight I would do my assignments, and I would, like, end up submitting, and they would think that I had copied it, and I was like, no, I did my assignments overnight. They're like, then why didn't you just do it before till it got to this point, right? I was like, because I just didn't want to. I don't know, but like, it's still, like, an education system is put for a reason. Like, now that I'm out of it, I realize why. It's to build discipline, going back to doing something that you don't want to do. Like, now, like, I realize there are so many things that I don't want to do, but I have to do it because it's responsibility. Like, it's growing up. So the same way, like, how I felt that, like, no, I didn't want to do this. I don't want to fit into this. There were reasons. I feel like I'm speaking like an adult and I don't like it. But I realized that, like, this year, it's like, all of these things, like, we see it in, like, such a microscopic view. It's like, it's put in place to not make us do these things. I agree with that. But also, I do agree that there are good reasons for it. But there are a lot more bad reasons.
Yeah. I agree. And I think education in itself is very limiting, not very inclusive, right? It's only people who can do well in school that can do well. I mean, obviously, I did well in school, but I feel like there's so much.
You did well more than just in school, Sheen. Okay, don't pull that card.
But it's just that I still feel like there's so many things that I didn't learn in formal education that would have been more useful to my life, right? Like learning about taxes. Obviously, you're in Dubai, you don't care about taxes. But learning about how to do your taxes, your finances, how to be financially independent, all of that nobody teaches you. None of it.
Absolutely.
But what do you think would be like the new future of education? What should it look like to be a bit more inclusive of people who have talent?
I do want to mention one thing to what you said about schools are not, like, made for everyone. I think the education system, I think you would have seen this reel that was going up recently. It's like, cars, how they looked in the past, how they look now.
Yeah.
How did, I don't know, stores look in the past, how does it look now? And then they show how a classroom looked in the past and how it looks now. And it looks exactly the same.
It hasn't changed.
It hasn't changed. But I think one of the biggest reasons is, like, schools are made to kind of build up employees. It's made to grow thinkers that kind of follow the system. They don't, because it's easier. It's like, okay, like, simple example. Like, if I were to print 1,000 of this, it's going to be cheaper for me than to print one of this,
Yeah.
right? And we work in a system where we want to reduce costs as much as we can.
It's all mass scale, yeah.
So it's easier to have an education system where you can have 1,000 students in one place, teach them the exact same thing. Okay, you're not giving care to every single
No.
student. Like they all learn the same thing. It's just one system you're supposed to follow. Like sheep, you're basically a sheep. And if you were anything but a sheep that wants to be, that wants to take a different path, you don't follow the system, you don't fit into their mold. Like that's all. And that's how it works. So if you don't want to be a part of it, you don't join it. Like that's
Yeah.
what I'd say. But that's not what is looked upon because there's not a lot of people that go on to the different path. But I think that people, if they were given the opportunity, they would, right? But what I would say that the future could look like, I know that they're already doing it in Finland, and I see that they're doing it with build space. Actually, I would like say I've been looking at the stuff they're doing, and it's really cool. They're trying to let people think that there are things that you can do if you don't follow the same path.
Yeah.
Like I think it starts off with the belief that, and I think there has to be more people speaking about, their journey of how they didn't follow the conventional path, that people could actually believe it. And I think instead of like people directly being reached out to, it should also be the parents, right? Where we tell them that, hey, you know what? This is not it. There are things that you can do. And I know that people are doing this now. Like the same school that I was telling you about, they're having talks with parents now. They're saying that this doesn't have to be the path. You don't have to do this, right? And when I see this now, and I'm like, that makes me happy, right? Because I'm like, hey, you know what? They're learning. That's like, even if it's a small step, they're trying to get on, like move on from it, right? But some of the things still stay with certain regions, like India, whatever it is, right? They still have engineers, call centers. Like that's their thing. They don't want to change from it because they have a list of things that they want to achieve. And they don't want to think further than that because they're scared. So I would hope that in the near future that there are more people that want to think for themselves rather than like being said that this is the path that you have to take. And if there are education systems built for more people, it has to be taught from people that do it rather than people that have learned about it.
Yeah.
So I would rather learn from someone that owns a company than people that have learned how to own a company. Like right now in universities, professors, at least I'm not talking about like Oxford because I know how they work. But if I were to join a regular university, if I was taking an old path, it's people that have learned about it.
Exactly.
And not people that have actually done it before.
No lived experiences. Yeah. No, for sure. So another question I have for you is generally, of course, you're a female founder and you are a female CEO as well now. Do you think this has played in your favor, against you, or no impact at all?
Okay, so it has like, there are different parts to this. So for me personally, I'd say it has played in a favor in certain things, but that was because of my age.
Okay.
Like I'm gonna come back to that.
Oh yeah, let's go back to that.
Okay,
Yeah.
so only because like if I were older and I did the same things, probably not. Like, okay, and no other, I can't think of any other ways to put it. Men don't take you seriously when you're a little girl trying to do stuff. Okay, like,
Right.
like you go up, and it's not even it's a girl. Like I've seen this happen where we don't have a lot of guys in the team, right? But if I am with a guy from our team, anyone that I speak to just assumes that they're the one that's in charge,
So
and
they
they would
address
speak
him.
to them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've seen this happen on multiple occasions. And the thing, they don't realize this as well, They don't realize that this is happening. But I can see this happening in front of me. Like once we were sitting in 25, this group of two men like approached us. It was a bunch of girls and one dude sitting. And all of us are absolutely amazing people. All of them, like they do amazing stuff. They're leaders. They're, they like the way their brain works is amazing.
Yeah.
I'm not diminishing the fact that the guy also
Yeah,
thinks
yeah,
that
yeah.
way, but he immediately didn't matter whatever we said, just straight up went to him, started talking to him, and he just shut every one of us down. And that's when it hit me. I was like, this is real. Like this is, no matter what it is, this is how it's gonna be. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter how accomplished you are, how this thing you are. If you do go up to a man and you're standing there and there's someone else with you, they would immediately think that
Yeah.
they're in charge. And doesn't play on the factor of anything else. This is just life. It's not business. It's not, like a startup, this is just life. And we can't, I don't know how you can change that. Like, do you know how we can change that?
No, but that's the
I don't
thing.
know.
Even I had the same experience when in my previous job we had just got on a new office.
Okay.
And people came to install the internet or whatever. And he was like, "Can you call the boss?" And I was like, "I am the boss." And he was like, "Yes, okay, call sir, please." And I was like, "I don't know what to do."
You kidding me?
I am the sir. And that's all I could say. I was like, "I am the sir." What else do you
Dude.
say in the and literally there was another boy there, as you said, who is my junior, who works for me, reports to me, but he would rather deal with him than deal with me because he still thinks that he's the sir, you know? And
Oh
I feel
my
like you don't know how to
gosh.
deal with this. I find it funny at this point because
It is gonna stick with me.
there's nothing else
There's
to
nothing
do.
else to do. Sheesh. But on the good side, I want to go back to that.
Yeah.
It has been easier to talk to people because you're like a girl, because they don't see you as a threat.
Oh yeah.
Like the reason that I can go up to strangers is because I would say that it's because I was a girl. If I was a random man and I went up, they would just assume that it's for like the wrong reasons or whatever it is, right? So that plays in my favor in a certain way, like I would say, because like I can go up to anyone and speak to them and then not think of it as me looking for like ulterior motives
yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
So that's a good thing, but everything else is bad. Dude, this is not okay.
I know.
Dude, you should. Oh my gosh.
I know. No, but honestly, I didn't. You know when you don't know how to get through to that person,
Yeah.
and you're like, "Well, I'm just gonna say I am the sir.
Yeah.
Maybe that will get
Maybe
through."
that would help.
Yeah, no, you didn't.
And not just be like, no, I can't say that here. I was gonna, I'll say it later. Be like,
But yeah, honestly, it's interesting, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there are definitely good things that are happening. Things are changing, but even when it comes to raising money,
Yeah.
you know, as a company. So we are currently raising money. You've raised money as well. Dealing with investors, I feel like, I mean, the statistics talk about it, right? So out of all the money from VCs that go into startups, I think only 3% goes to female founders. But female founders have been shown to be 3 times more likely to be successful. So it doesn't add up at all. What has been your experience of raising as a money as a woman, sorry. Raising as a money. Yeah.
Okay, so again, like I'm unconventional, even for the unconventional, I would say, because I feel like I fall on like a third path, because everything that's happened in my life has been because I've been at the right place at the right time.
Right.
And I believe that's completely God's favor in my life. But even how we raised money was just because I was at the right place at the right time. I was
Okay.
at Jitex. And again, like, my parents were like, why are you wasting money? Because 7,000 dirhams at that point to go for Jitex was a lot of money, right?
Yeah,
but I was like,
Jitex expensive.
but I don't know. I was like, no, you know what? Something in me just told me that, no, just be there. Because like I have this faith that if I speak to people, things will happen. So I was like, no, I just need to be there and just speak to people. And well, I was there and I had the smallest stall, but it had Do Just Do It written on it. And my university professor actually told me this was the worst name ever. You should change it. Like, think about Starbucks, companies like this. And then I actually thought about it, but I was like, you know what? No, I'm gonna stick to it.
Thanks for
And
the
it
feedback.
Ignited like a fire in me, right? I was like, watch me make this like a thing.
The next Starbucks.
Exactly. Just because you said that this was a bad name.
Yeah.
I was like, fine. And random people just kept showing up to the stall just because of the name. Just like that, a man showed up to the stall because of the name. And I ended up telling him what we do. And he went away. And then he came back. He's like, he was like an Arab man, right? He was like, hey, you know what? This seems, like he said, this seems like a cool thing. But I see that you don't have enough money, but I have money.
Oh.
I'll give you money. And he just went away.
Oh,
I was
wow.
like, what just happened? And he didn't give me his number. He didn't give me his card.
Great.
He just said this and went away. I was like, okay. And all he did apparently was take a picture of my business card. Oh, he took our card. He didn't give
Okay.
his card.
Okay.
But a week later, he texts me. He's like, hey, remember me? I met you at Jitex. I was like, the man that said I'll give you money, right?
Yeah.
And then we just started talking and he's like, hey, you know what? I'll do this. And and he knew that I had no experience. I don't have a degree. He's like, I don't care. I care about people. And that was it. And then he ended up giving money.
So he's your investor.
Yeah.
I love that.
Which was, again, absolutely, there's no way to explain it. I wasn't looking for investment. So, yeah. But now I don't mind. Oh, anyways.
No, don't mind if people want to give me money.
Yes, I will
But
take it all.
Okay.
5 dirhams. No, I'm kidding. To buy new pants. Okay.
Okay, parting message. What message do you have for other, young women who are trying to follow an unconventional path, who don't have the support, who are not sure if it is the right idea, is it the right thing to do? Shall I just stick to what I know? What advice do you have?
Okay. Many things. But I'm going to think about this to say something that I didn't say before. So a lot of people are going to tell you things that's there, right? Like that's always there. But apart from that, I think it's really important to constantly learn about things yourself and like put yourselves, it's like things are going to go wrong. That's just life. Like you're not, like it's not like if you don't do something, other things are not going to go wrong, right? Like things going wrong, you making mistakes is how you learn. Like that's it. And I don't think making mistakes is a sign of failure. Making mistakes is a sign of like trial. Like you tried something, it didn't work. Great. Now you know what not to do, right? Like we've gone through about 3 versions of our websites, 3 versions of our team, 3 versions of how we do things, right? And we don't have an, like it's not like we've done something before and we know how to do things. And maybe like how another company is running could work for us, but we realized that it didn't actually how a normal corporate structure works. We tried to incorporate that into our company and it just blew up on our faces. So no matter what people tell you, you actually going and trying to do something and you making the mistakes yourself, they're going to tell you like the first mistake that you make, this is it. You know what? Don't go for this. And then you start feeling the pressure. You're like, oh my gosh, maybe this is not going to work out. Maybe I'm not going to be able to do this. Like everything starts with your mind. Like, like when you decide that being consistent is what's going to get you somewhere, just do that. I'm going to say like my favorite line ever, which is consistency beats talent any day. Like you could find the most talented person, but if he does things on and off, he's not going to make it anywhere. You could be the most mediocre person. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I would rather be mediocre and be consistent than be like some sort of crazy talented person, right? And because then you get overconfident. That's a whole other thing. But be consistent, stick to what you want to do, keep doing what you're doing every day. It doesn't matter, like maybe one day you're not going to feel like doing something and no one cares about how you feel in the best way possible. Like that's not going to do anything like for your life in any way. Yes, I'm not saying don't like forego your mental health or something, but feelings come and go. You're going to feel like you want to do something someday. You're going to feel like you don't want to do something another day. And this could be because of what people tell you. So many people stop doing what they're doing just because of what people in their life tell them. Like don't let your dreams go, let your passion go just because of what other people think of you. So be consistent with what you're doing, stick to what you believe in, and then just keep doing it every day and you're going to achieve whatever you want to achieve.
Well, that was wholesome.
Thanks.
Lovely advice. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And thank you for being here. This was great fun.
Absolutely.
I hope you
Thank
enjoyed
you.
it.
I loved it. And you are very cool. You didn't plug yourself. So I'm going to do that for you. You're a very impressive person. And honestly, like me seeing, like I sent your profile to a friend yesterday, right? Because I was like, hey, this is what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. And she's like, she looked at your profile. She's like, you went to Oxford and Cambridge? I was like, yeah. She's like, how are you talking to her? In a way, like, how can I keep up? Like
please.
Even you're like one of the smartest people that I know. And I'm not gonna I can't do what you did. And that is inspiring in a whole different way, right? Like going to one of the top universities, sticking to it, graduating, and you went back there as a TEDx speaker.
Yeah.
So that's a whole other accomplishment of its own. Plug yourself too.
I
What are you
love
doing?
that. I have my little CV here.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Going back to Cambridge, you know what? This was the funniest thing. I was sitting with, I think, Joel.
Yeah.
And then I think he went like, I did a TEDx or something came up. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Like, I think you said, where'd you do it? And then, no, it was the other way. He said, you did a TEDx speech too. And then I was like, oh, cool. Where'd you do it? And then he just had this look in his face because he knew my face was going to go like, what? And then you went like, you did it at Oxford. You did another one before, right?
I did Cambridge.
And I was like, I'm not even going to say where I did or even the fact that I did it because that in itself was like, that's all. So you be proud of yourself too.
Thank you. Yeah, Joel is like my proud father wherever
But,
I go. He
yeah.
introduces me to
Me
people
as-
like that. But so are you now. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Absolutely.
So we'll
Thank
see you
for
next
having
time
me.
around
Yes.
with new merch.
Yes.